are doing a podcast called Life is Business, the 9 to 5 to entrepreneurship. A lot of times we have troubles segueing over into, making our own money. Maybe we want to hustle and we want to be able to just establish our own bread, but we need to know how to get there. So we are establishing the roadmap for y'all to be able to make your own money. We're young entrepreneurs. We come from St. Louis, Missouri. We made our way down to Atlanta, Georgia. We've made millions of dollars and we got the game for y'all. So listen, we're going to lay it all out. So today's topic is getting started and pushing past your exhaustion point. One of the most difficult things to do when starting a business is actually getting started, as a lot of y'all know. You know what I mean? Because who wants to walk away from a job and the benefits and, being scared of not being fed when you don't have the quote unquote man?
Very hard.
So it's very, very hard. So we're just going to start on the topic. And first thing first is I want Kobe, look, us coming from the environment that we come from, right?
Uh-huh.
How did you get started? Like, you know what I mean? What are some of the things that helped you get started personally? Because, we work together. We've been knowing, and for a little background story, me and Kobe have been knowing each other since 5th grade. We've been, I would say, intellectually competitive since 5th grade. He's one of the smartest dudes that I know. And it was just a no-brainer that when we came up that we were both going to be successful. So, but Kobe, our paths have been very different, even though we've done a lot of business together, we've ventured off and did our own businesses. What are some of the things that you could give to the audience to kind of let them know, like, yo, how did you get past your exhaustion point, or when you had an idea, when you were just dead tired and you didn't think it was going to work, or like, give us some jewelry.
Well, like working past being tired is something that you're going to have to do.
Yeah.
Because especially when you thinking to me, first off, is way more exhausted than actually doing stuff.
Okay. All right.
So, when it comes to like creativity, it takes a whole lot to get those creative juices flowing. When you're trying to create something, like that's the difference between, the job and you starting your own thing.
All right. So boom, let me cut you off real quick. Right. So let's paint this real life scenario for these people. Right. I got a job. Right.
Mm-hmm.
I got a family, because most people have families, right? Or they just hustle. Let's just make it a blanket, like a blank slate. I got an idea. I got a phone. I got a laptop, or just some kind of form of computer. Right. Where do I get started?
It just depends on what you're trying to do, though. I mean that's like, that's a wide range of ways to get started. Because like me and how I got started in entrepreneurship was different. I tried a lot of businesses that didn't work. Like I tried car lots. I tried a construction company. I tried what I seen first, mostly.
Yeah.
So mostly what I did was just what I seen. You try to sell drugs if you see people sell drugs. You try to do music because everybody's doing music. You try those things and you try and you want to make them work. But life changes and everything. It kind of make it be one of those things where like, okay, I did the car lot. I didn't realize I didn't have enough money to keep going. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of the times it ain't even running out of exhaustion. It's just running out of you exhausted from the point of just running out of ideas and running out of trying to figure out what it is you should be doing. Then it's like entrepreneurship, back to work. Entrepreneurship, back to work.
And isn't it crazy? Like, so did you think a lot like how I did? Like I was like trying to start a business, but I was just trying to like so focus on like not missing. Like, you know what I mean? I had like put so much energy into like making money that, you know what I mean? I think it kind of hindered the business. I think that's a lot. Those are one of the things that I feel is like you can't concentrate on. Even if you have no money, you have to just be able to.
You have to be resourceful.
You got to be resourceful.
Pretty much. I mean, that's what it goes down to. We realize that at a point now that when in the beginning we thought that it was money that was the thing that would get you there.
Yeah.
Like, if I just had $10,000 to invest, if I just had $20,000 to invest, and we realized that the real value is in the know-how, is because it's plenty of people out here that got money. That's why you got investors. Investors are doing nothing but looking for good ideas because you might have the money and not have the idea. So you just got to realize what it is that you bring to the table. So if you don't have the money to get started, you just better have a damn good idea.
I think personally that people should just be working. Like we in such a climate that like, yo, if you're not working, you should be doing something, because if we're going to make the statement to say, and we're at a point where we we kind of like put time over money. Like time is way more of a scarce resource and an asset.
It's way more valuable.
But I think that for people who are transitioning out of a job, you have to like make dollars. Like, you know what I mean? I think that you should be working 3 bad jobs until you have the idea good enough, or the idea down packed enough where you can cut off some of them jobs, or one of them jobs, to focus some of that time and energy over to that. Because like, to say that you don't need the funds or the money to do it, we would just be lying.
No. I mean, of course you need the money, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you particularly have to have the money, though. I mean, there are funding sources there. You got the SBA where you can get loans to get money. You got crowdfunding,
right,
where you can crowdfund to get the money. So there's other different alternatives and ways. Like, you need the money, but that don't mean it has to be you being the person that's bringing the money to the table.
Right.
That's pretty much the point that I'm trying to drive home. So if we focus on, like I said, being more resourceful, and like, okay, if I don't have the money, let me make sure that I'm bringing know-how. Because know-how by itself needs money. Money by itself needs know-how. So they both kind of, like, to me, it's like a 50-50. It's like a relationship.
I think I think that people are just so afraid to get on the phone, like, and then just call people. And just call out and reach for the information, because, like you said, there's a bunch of information out here, like the SBA and all of these loans and stimulus packages going in. But I feel like at a certain point that the government is like enabling us, because we had a private conversation where we're talking about like, and I made the point, if they're going to give us all of this free stimulus money, right? Mm-hmm. Like, why should we have to work? Like, why should we have to work if we get unemployment and we make it $3,000 and $2,600, whatever they giving us a month, state and federal income? Like, why should we ever spark up a good idea? And if we think about where that money going, is only going to go to big businesses anyway, or just businesses at the same time.
I mean, to get back on the track of entrepreneurship, I feel like the best idea would be for somebody to have a job, because, like you said, like, what is the incentive? But of course, we all know that there those types of people that will not take the stimulus money and go invest it wouldn't even be the people that's interested in this conversation in the first place.
Of course,
you get what I'm saying. So to go in on it, I feel like if you the 9 to 5, like if you have an ideal business in mind, to me it would make sense to go and get a job in that particular field.
Right, so you can infiltrate the business.
Exactly. So you could just get so you can get the insight. Like, if you want to be a rapper, why not go? I mean, I see a lot of people trying to take the route of like a promoter, or take the route of one of the jobs of the people that you're gonna need, in order to make that machine work.
Right, and it makes total sense. Like, you have to see it, I believe, because I grew up, and you, to extent, you grew up seeing it a little bit. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's just like, you have to be able to see it to be able to replicate it. So I think that having a job and like patterning your job, like, you don't have to hate your job, like, you know what I mean? And then I think that you brought up another point. The best ideas start with where you're at. So if you like, if you were in the medical industry, what business could you start that would be solely yours, that you could start relating to that medical field? Maybe home health care,
of course,
or a daycare center.
And home health care is popping. Speaking of, like I said, my parents have a home health care business that's doing terrific. And,
right.
And she had a job at Cardinal Glennon.
My
stepmother had a job at Cardinal Glennon. Her background is that. So she just used the know-how from that. It didn't require a whole lot of money. It took her studying, and already knowing healthcare terms gave her the advantage on doing that business. That's why I feel like that was the best business they ever did, because they used past experiences to do that. Because if you want to, what's going to make you more confident in order to do this, it's going to be the knowledge that you already have. So start with what you know already.
Oh yeah. But I mean, what if people are working in fields that they really don't like rock with? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. How do they get out of them ideas? Because at those particular points, like, sometimes reaching for a business that it's just like way on the other side of town of what you already doing. Like, I want to run a trucking company, but I'm doing, I'm like, I'm doing something I'm not doing nowhere near anything in trucking. You know what I mean? So we're just like, how do I connect the dots, or either just, you know what I mean? Because do people have the time? Like, you know what I mean? So it's just like, where do you find the time, and like, how do you get the distractions out of the way? Because, man, like, it's like having these phones are like a gift and a curse at the same time. But
having anything is a gift and a curse. I mean, there's a good side and bad side to anything. So that's where the discipline is going to come in. At like we was talking about earlier, success is habits. You know, so it takes a certain mindset. It takes a certain activity through the day. You know, what is your 24-hour day look like? You know, that would kind of determine, you know, whether you would be successful. It's kind of like, okay, if we're going to do this podcast, if we're going to build something, we're going to have to do it all the time. We're going to have to put a lot of work into it. As everybody can see that watched the last one when we was first just trying to get jumping off. It looks completely different now because we realize, okay, we need a little bit better audio. We need more spacing. We need this. So you have to be a person that thinks and that can be flexible and adjustable. Right. Given the situation. So if your job, like, so it's like, I don't want to like sugarcoat it. Like, if you are not going to put 4 hours a day after you get off your 9 to 5 into building your business, if you're not willing to do that, just get out the game. You know, because I don't really want to keep trying to push this thing where like, okay, we got to be nice about talking about it. Like it takes hard work. I mean, you know, and we can't really just, you know, get away from that and, you know, and get around it.
Yeah. To me, it's a 3-year journey, 3 to 5 year journey. If you don't have that kind of time to put into something, because you went to school 4 years and you didn't get paid at all. If you went to college, you know what I mean?
True.
You went to school all your life, 13 years, 13 years and didn't get paid at all. So it's about getting the training. So if you get the training and you get the know-how, then you'll be able to just turn it around. But, you know, I'm of the specific opinion that some people just ain't got the gene. Like some people just ain't got the entrepreneurial gene.
I disagree.
I
disagree.
I knew you was going to disagree because that's what you do.
Nah, man. I mean, the entrepreneurial gene, I feel like, I mean, you got to give it. I mean, okay, say for instance, okay, do you think it's gene? See, it's always the nurture of nature. You were born into business. Yeah. You get what I'm saying? So you've been seeing business since you was like 10 or 11.
Wait, but look, you're a successful business person and you weren't born into business.
True.
So, but look, that's why they say some people just got the gene.
I mean, I was a hustler though, you know, so essentially I hustled. So I worked.
But that's a business.
But I worked jobs a lot because of like, I would have, had I seen it, I would have been able to be able to put it in play quicker.
But jobs are businesses. Come on, keep them.
I mean, jobs.
So, but you just got
businesses.
the structure. You just got the structure. Like you were just able to identify the business part of the job. Can we agree or disagree to that?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I take that.
You know what I mean? But I agree. I'm actually leaning towards you when you say that, like, you know, people, the business gene can be developed, but it's just like some people, they just don't want to get over on the other side. Cause it's like, to me, you're in poor position, right? Okay. It's just like, sometimes we can create a circumstance for ourselves that's just so hard to get out of. Like, how do I start a business that I'm $200,000 in student loan debt? And I got a good job with good benefits. Like, how do I get out of that to stretch and start a business? That's like sometimes
that would be exhausting in itself.
Yeah, that would be exhausting.
The thought of being in that kind of debt would be extremely exhausting for me. You know, so I would say what do you got to do? Like, I mean, you're going to have to make some type of sacrifice in order to do it, because it's not.
What kind of sacrifice are we going to make with $200,000 a day? Like, come on. Like, what realistically, what are people going to do?
I mean, me realistically, I'm a file for what they call forbearance or something. And then during that time, I'm going to try to, you know, do everything that I possibly can, you know, with that burden off my back. And like I said, I mean, if you pay them folks $5 or $10 a month or whatever, this, like I said, you got to make a sacrifice. You got to take a jump. This entrepreneurship, you got to be a little low key crazy. Like, I mean, like for somebody practical, if you're thinking practical, like, oh, I got this debt, and you know, and I got this and I got that. If you're thinking of all of those different things that you gotta just think that, like, okay, one thing you're gonna have to take a chance on. So I would sacrifice paying, like, okay, well, look, for the next year, I'm gonna tell these folks I got $5 to get them, and they're gonna have to take that, and I'm gonna have to take the sacrifice to do that in order to, you know, to further myself, because you can't do it all at the same time.
So tell me this, you starting over as an entrepreneur, right? Mm-hmm. Let's say if you did have to start over, how much would you be willing to pay for training? Because like I be talking to a lot of people, I'm just trying to gauge and see what it would be worth to them, because like a lot of people go to school and get in hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt. and they don't be using that information.
Even $10,000 a year, I mean, is extremely a whole lot.
Yeah, I mean,
I would have paid to know what I know if I could have skipped the line to like basically what we trying to do is give them games so they can prevent failure, you know?
Right.
So this is preventative failure. What I would have paid for this, I mean, right now with the money that I got now, I'd have easily paid somebody $10,000 to help me, to help me on the way to prevent, because I lost $80,000.
Yeah.
So I would have definitely took 10 of that to learn how to not lose that first $80,000 that I lost.
Right. So I think that people should take the school approach. Like if you want to be able to look past exhaustion and because it's like exhaustion to me is like only a stressor. Like, oh, we just going through stress because we don't know what to do. Right. Mm-hmm. We don't know what to do. We don't know how to map out our blueprint to eventually get over to the other side. So we're just like, yo, just pay for the training.
Yeah, pay for training. You know, I mean, that's the problem with a lot of people.
Yeah,
that a lot of us are not willing to pay for the game. Yet we'll pay for school, but school is nothing but giving you structure on how to do it. So I'm sitting down with somebody for 10 grand easily because I like okay, this is the question. This what would break it down and make it more practical.
Right.
How much would you pay somebody if they could show you how to make 100,000?
I pay them 100,000. because if you show me how to make 100,000,
right,
and I'm going to make it every year, I pay 100.
Right, I definitely pay 100,000.
Because ain't that what they pay doctors, like lawyers?
Like, I mean, hell, that's real estate.
That's real estate. Yeah,
because if you got a piece of real estate property for 100,000, you know, you're not gonna make 100,000 back that first year. It's probably gonna take you, depending on what the payment is and depending on how much it's bringing in, whether you're doing it on Airbnb or whether you're just doing a traditional rent.
Right.
You know,
right.
It could take you 10 years to even get that back. So I would pay somebody 100,000.
I would pay 100, especially if you can give me the game quick and I don't have to learn.
But they gotta show me though, for 100 grand, you gotta let me sleep on your couch and I gotta walk with you. You know what I'm saying? Like every day for like 6 months. Like
of course
you ain't finna be on the side of no computer.
Oh no,
I'm not. I mean, they can't be computer training.
No, hell no. I need to sleep on your couch on the floor.
Come on. I need to see exactly what your habits are because like I said, everything goes back to habits. So let's jump into number 2, realizing the goal.
Oh yeah.
So we're realizing the goal. So you came up with the realizing the goal. Realizing the goal. Elaborate.
Okay, so look, a lot of times we make our end goal money. You know what I mean?
Ooh, okay.
So we're just like, are you working for money? Because if you're working for money, the business that you're going to start is you're going to just start another job for yourself.
And you're going to be exhausted.
And you're going to be exhausted.
And it's going to be very hard to work past exhaustion or to stay dedicated to something when you're only doing it for money, because when you get tired and you feel like giving up, you have nothing else clawed in. You don't have enough into it, the passion, anything into it to keep going. So
yeah, I mean, but okay, so look at it like this: like we live in such a consumer society that they telling us to consume all the time. Get more of this, buy more of that. Every time you get on social media, tube you know what we're talking about, you know, and then they just telling you they're running all of these ads on all of these platforms. Everybody is living their best life. One thing that I don't like about social media is that it presents the best side of the story.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
You know what I mean? Like
they're not gonna tell you, oh yeah, you can spend $150 in ads and not sell one product or not, or it not get the reach that you think is gonna reach.
Yeah, but even when people post, like you're posting your best moments, the best part of the day when you're feeling the best and at your highest moments. Like, so we have to be able to look at our phones and compete with that. So we're embedding that into our psychology, which is embedded into our habits, and we're working based off that and feeling like we need to make money based on that instead of just being okay with like just helping people.
With just like okay, so as far as goals. Right. So what are you willing to sacrifice for that goal? So in realizing the goal, you know, okay, you like, okay, I got this goal. Okay, now what are you gonna do to sacrifice to make that goal achievable?
Yeah.
Essentially. So what are you going to do? Are you going to, what I feel like we've done wrong is I feel like a lot of us move out of our parents' house way too fast.
Oh yeah.
I feel like we should stay in our parents' house because I see a lot of other cultures. So I'm speaking from a Black culture standpoint, that we move out way too quick. Like if I could redo it all over again.
Well, they put us out.
Well, I don't know. I guess it just depends on, you know, the situation. But I just feel like in a case like my situation wasn't unstable, but yet at 19, I'm like, I got to get my own crib. I'm sick of my father's rules. I'm tired of it. you know, so I'm going to move out. And I had like $400. So the security deposit was $199. Stupid, man. That's ridiculous, man. That's like, okay, so now I'm moving out. Even though I was making a decent amount of money. But at the time, you know, when I ain't had no bill, I moved out making like $500-$600 a week. That was decent at the time.
That was, you know, real decent at the time.
But you got to think about it. Picture if I made that kind of money still staying at the crib. Now I could save up and start to stack. But instead of now I put myself in the rat race. So now how am I trying to become a rapper or trying to do this stuff? Now I got these bills accumulating. So now that's kind of affecting my goal that I got for myself to be a rapper at the time, or to be aspiring entrepreneur and start businesses at that time, because now my main focus is paying my bills. If you stay at home, you don't have to, you go, okay, deal with mama stuff and deal with their rules, be home at the time they tell you to be home, to save up, because you're going to need funding for that goal that you're trying to get. Why not wait until we start a family, or wait until we get married, or wait until we get more established to move out to where we ain't got to move back? Because guess what? If you leave the nest too early, what are you going to do?
You're just going to burn out. Like,
a lot of times you're going to end up coming back.
Yeah.
How many of us have left early and came back?
You know what? And you bring up a good point. Let me just kind of get off topic a little bit. I think that once we get of age where we're ready to take on that kind of responsibility, our parents should just make us just pay like cheap rent at their place.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, I'm definitely not saying stay there for free. I'm just saying stay there at a discount. Of course, you want to help your parents out, but I'm saying just picture if you did that. Picture if we did that instead of you going to Chesterfield. Picture if we would have stayed small till we was about 20, 23 or 24.
Yeah.
A lot of life, a lot of the failures, a lot of this function that we experienced with doing business would have definitely been different.
Yeah. I mean, a lot different. And then it goes back to the notion of that wasn't even, those weren't good economics, because I was stimulating somebody else's economy.
Exactly.
I already had a studio.
We often do that though.
Yeah. Like we think about it. It was dumb as hell for me to move out, because like I had a whole studio at my parents' house. They just didn't want me to work when they had to go to sleep. I just wanted to work while they were sleeping. But they had a business.
Like, and they needed sleep. So
they needed sleep.
So you wasn't willing to sacrifice that.
I wasn't willing to sacrifice that, like a selfish person.
Like we all are, in a sense, because we what do? We get our money and we end up leaving out our parents' crib and knowing that they gave us the discount, without giving them a little $500, little thank you, appreciation for having me here, you know. And that's kind of like what I'm trying to get to. Stay with your parents, help them out, build community.
Yeah.
That would help us out. If we didn't have was going out and having kids so early and doing everything, you know, it would change the narrative.
Oh yeah. I mean, like I said, like just exhaustion can just come in many forms. Like you said, we just put ourselves in bad position.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, how do we not put ourselves in bad position? Because like we always
preventative failure. You know, I mean, that's exactly what we're talking about. So somebody could. This is the ladder here. This is just us talking about it, because okay, like what if? Because like what you said, like what if we had the game that we given now?
Right.
Like, I mean, that's the solution. I mean, the solution is for us to have people chiming in. Potentially, hey, comment on it, you know, send us some stuff in so we can know, you know, so we can help y'all tap in.
So look, let's go over this. What's the cheat code? Okay, I got student debt. I'm in poor position. How do I work myself out of this situation? Because look, the next topic is clarifying a goal. So how do we clarify a goal when we already in a poor position? Like, how do we?
Because it's hard to realize what the goal is, because it's like, so realizing the goal is critical. Yeah. Because you got to look at it from an aspect of you trying to figure out whether to pay your bills. Do I really need a new car? Do I really need this stuff so I can keep up with what's you know? At the time it wasn't Facebook for us, but it was like, my partner and them just got, you know, a new car.
Yeah.
You know, we want to be the Mustang boys. You know, you got that goal. So you got the street goal. You got your friends goals. You got all of these different. You got all of these different things, these different goals that could be distracting you, like you said, distracting you from the actual goal. Yeah. So my question to you is, how can we get people to stay on focus? You was the most focused young person that I'm pretty sure that anybody in a St. Louis music scene, or you know, that anybody that knew, like you was in the studio while we was outside just trying to kick it in, you know, and talk to females and stuff. You was like, nah, that ain't the life. I'm finna dial in.
Right, but at the end of the day, you got to get with people who already have that kind of focus intensity, because as soon as you came around, you got super focused. And then it's
so would it be environment? So you said basically just find you the environment, or either try to create the environment.
Yeah, but them people hard to get around.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just to be quite honest, like, you know, especially you don't want no kind of like any kind of energy around you. Like, nah. I don't want to, like, you have to pay it forward. We paid it forward.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we spent a lot of nights learning a lot of information it wasn't sexy. Mm-hmm. You know, getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning and answering calls and answering emails, knowing that we literally eat what we kill. So if we're going to be living a life as an entrepreneur where we eat what we kill, somebody's going to try to want to be in a grouping and get this kind of information. You're going to have to pay. So that's the thing is, I say when you get around people who know what they want or know what they want out of life, then, like, you know what I mean? Your goals will literally start to shape themselves. You'll be able to understand your purpose when you get around people who know their purpose. And that's just the beautiful, beautiful part about people just being able to influence each other. You know what I mean? Just one period of time just changed my life. Me working at my dad's store, right? And a lot of people don't know this story. I started working at my father's store when I was about 10 years old, 10 and a half, all the way up to like 14, mm-hmm. right? Then I worked in my parents' daycare center much later. But I was doing business every day. I would go to school from 6 in the morning to 2:30, mm-hmm. get there at 3:30, and I worked from 3:30 to 8:30 every day. And I still had to do my homework. So I was already put in that pressure. I was already being able to just put under that
kind of... The environment was there.
The environment was there, but I was already doing business. I was doing inventory, distribution, handling.
You had already seen structure. So it was easy to be able to spot it out once you were like, okay, ooh, I want to do music. So like you, okay, like, hey, everybody's selling beats.
Yeah.
I'm going to sell beats and put a hook on it. So it's like, it's nothing new under the sun. You were able to see that, be able to spot that out. Like, hey, let me do what people not doing. Boom.
But you know where I got that from? It's like when my dad was innovative, everybody was selling cigarettes, but he wanted to make a higher ROI on the cigarettes. So he would bust open the pack and sell them single cigarettes because he knew that sometimes people didn't have enough money to pay for the whole pack.
That was genius.
That was genius. And he would do the same thing with candy. Like if you didn't want to buy a whole host of candy, you could buy penny candy. Like, you know, you could literally come and give us
penny candy was a joint though.
Man, look, RIP to penny candy, you know, because now they just sell them in a bag, like a little baggies in the hood. You know what I mean? But back then that was just incredibly innovative because people would come in, they drop their 2 quarters, they get their 2 squares, and they mob, and they just leave. And so he was just a man when it came to positioning. He was like, you know what? A lot of people come in here in the morning. We got to start selling coffee because we didn't do coffee in the morning.
Right.
But so we had a morning crowd, and then he would put all the stuff that people ate. So we're just like, if we still had that business, we would for sure have a gas station. You know what I mean? We would for sure have a gas station.
I mean, but that goes back to being an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
He had to know to be flexible and adjustable though. You got to be willing to, like I said, if you ain't willing to sleep on somebody's couch, you know, I mean, it's just like, it's certain things that I see in people that I know if they really trying to do it.
Right.
You know, they're really trying to do it. So let's okay. So back to the clarifying the goal. So mm-hmm. how do we tell people to be clear? To like so how do you be like, okay, zero in? A lot of people ask me questions about, hey, what should I do? You know, and I'm like, that's a question I can't really answer for you because, you know, I'm gonna tell you to do something based off my skill set, you know, unless I know you, like unless you somebody in my family and I know you well, I might be able to give you that type of advice. So how do we get people to clarify the goal?
You gotta, so the thing for me, I always tell people like, look, you gotta do it. For example, you gotta
get in the game pretty much.
You gotta get in the game. Look, it don't matter if you're getting paid for it or not. Mm-hmm. Taking some free work, you gotta put your hands on the labor to actually see if this could be something that you want to work for, because you can go to school 4 or 5 years, get the degree, then work in the field and be like, man, I hate this. Like, man, this is look, terrible.
That's what, like, in my course, I'm telling people, look, do the research before you even, like, some stuff I have researched and I was like, just researching it, I realized, that's not it. That's not it. So don't I don't want anybody to listen to the podcast and be like, oh, well, they was talking about real estate or they was talking about trucking or they was talking about music and be like, oh, that sounds easy. Because the concept sound easy because we just running through it.
Right.
You know, and I feel like a lot of times I heard a lot of people be like, oh yeah, I know a little lick you can do. You could do like authorized users, you know what I'm saying? You can charge people $30 and you know what I'm saying, you can get you 10 authorized users and charge them this and that a month. Like, yeah, like do you not think the credit card companies are not gonna be onto that in a couple of months and you keep switching people on and off your credit card?
Yeah.
Like, so some things just sound better as an idea. And then once you try to apply it in real life, it ain't really that.
Yeah, it ain't really that. You know, I mean, but businesses don't last forever. They got businesses structured around certain things.
Like gym memberships.
Yeah, like you're not going to do anything different that people haven't thought of
already,
unless it's like a pre-existing idea that you made it better.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like it's more money into innovating a idea that's already there. Just make it better.
Okay, so to get to the goals, I would say get in the game and choose one at a time.
Yeah.
I mean, just if you got 3 different ideas, just find one and go all in on that one because you only got, like I said, so much time in it.
But see, look, this is why people underestimate their youth, right? Because when you're young and you have no responsibilities, that's when they should be training us to be able to try more than one idea. Because
who should be training us?
Our parents.
Okay.
Yeah, our parents. You know what I mean? I would say society as a whole, but we're not built like a culture like that, especially if we're talking about the Black community, right? Because it's like we got all this free time, but the thing is we have to ask ourselves important questions. Like even when we're going to school, what are we doing it for? We need to read. Why do we need to learn how to read?
So we need to be intentional.
We need to be intentional because
we need to attach a clear. So as we're talking about clarifying goals, we need to be clear about each individual action every day.
Of course. I mean, look, if we break it down like this, there were certain times in school where I struggled. Mm-hmm. It's not because I wasn't a smart kid. I was smarter than a lot of the kids around me, but it's just like, how am I going to directly make this applicable? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Especially when you have kids who have right now problems. And even if they have right now problems, I can give them a solution that they could use years from now. Mm-hmm. If you just break it down to them, like, look, if you apply mathematics to doing this right now, it's going to have ramifications later here where you'll be able to do X, Y, Z. You know what I mean? And it will make sense and I would do it. It was a lot of times it didn't seem applicable for me to do certain things or learn history or learn certain things because how are we doing it? You know
how
what I mean?
Am I going to apply?
Yeah, how am I going to apply it? So we need to be doing that with our children as well and like letting them know, even the people around us, like showing the people the intentions of the vision of what we're trying to paint. Like it's okay to have a vision for your people.
Okay, cool. Okay, so do you think realistically that people are born with a certain type of drive? Like, because to me, I feel like everybody has drive. I feel like everybody just choose where they want to put their drive at. Do you agree or disagree?
I agree, but I'm going to disagree with you. Only because it's like, yeah, you may have the potential to have the drive, but contingent on the pain point or certain things being motivating factors, you'll never use that drive because, like I said, there's certain things that could just nullify all of that drive. Like I said, these stimulus packages, if they let us all starve, we'll figure it out. Certain people will figure it out. A lot of people won't make it. But is it better to let us starve and figure it out, or just pacify some of the people, or keep stimulating us? So, what is a stimulated economy going to look like? Especially if it's long term and they're giving us $2,600 a month. Especially where we come from, it's gonna look
like a bunch of cheap real estate for me in the future.
That's what I'm saying. You're gonna have
it crashed pretty much.
Right. So you're going to have people who want to be able to execute ideas, but they don't have to be motivated to get it going because, bro, I got $2,600 coming in. So regardless if I go do this or not, my bills are getting paid. I can still hit the club. I can still do, you know what I mean? Like kick it a little bit. I can still enjoy myself and be okay with life.
You just want to have a good time too much.
Right. So look, think about 10 years passing by and you're living okay. Like, why should you ever have the drive? Like, I think that me and you made it when we had to push ourselves to the point where we had to make it.
I mean, I feel like you only gonna do what you feel like you must do.
Yeah.
And I feel like I wanted to, like, I'm too much of a controlling person to not be in control of something.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I feel like that's what drives me. It's not really the money itself. It's more of just being able to be like, okay, this is my house and I I run it. This is my building, and I do this. This is my car. I'm a very selfish person. Even though I give to people, I would much rather, like, if we go into a food joint, I would much rather buy you your own combo than for you to get some of mine.
Right.
I'm just not with that. Like, so I feel like, okay, that means if I want to be selfish and giving, that means I got to make enough money. I got to have spillover then.
Of course.
Because I'm not cutting my stuff in half for you. I will if I have to. But I really don't want to do that.
I don't want to do that.
I want to have my own stuff. Like, even in my house now, like I strive with the wife. Like, look, I need my own space. Yeah. I don't like I pay all of this money for my mortgage every month, and I'm still sharing a room with somebody. I need a room in a house that I can call my own. Like, I need something I can call my own. Something that's just me. Where if I leave this water bottle right there, I don't care if it's a week later, I want to go back and it be right there. So I do it. So my motivation and drive comes from, I would say, me wanting to just have things my way, and I don't see why anybody else wouldn't. So I want to hit on this other topic where we saying we got on here when to work for money and when to work for passion. When do you think you should work for money, and when do you think you should work for passion?
You should always work for money. Like, come on.
I mean, I'm saying, like, when should it be first?
Jeez. Again, that go. You know what? I think that
man. I mean, I'm just saying, like, okay. Look, if you already got money,
I could give the politically correct answer and say, when you already got bread, you should work for your passion. Yada 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 yada. But only reason that I'm gonna diss that idea and be totally realistic is because a lot of times you had to learn so much and get through so much to learn how to get the money that it's like, even when you're working for passion, your passion becomes helping people. You know what I mean?
Of course.
Because, like, the biggest businesses, we could diss the Jeff Bezos and the Mark Zuckerbergs of the world, but they help a lot of people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They hire more people than we do, and the people in society tends to think that they don't care about anybody when they're like the country's biggest employers.
Exactly. And so why do you think, like, so that's a good point, because a lot of people don't understand why the big companies get bailout, because people got to understand that becoming an entrepreneurship, that's where the loopholes are at.
Yeah.
Like, so you want to get on this side of the quadrant because simply just because, like, if you working for somebody and you only providing for your family, but Jeff Bezos is providing for 500,000 families,
right?
Who do you think would be a better idea to help out? The person that's helping one person or the person that's helping 500,000?
It's like the club.
That's kind of like the way you got to look at it.
It's like the club. It's like, if I bring 20 people that pay, can I get in free? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's
leverage right there.
That's leverage.
I brought you 20 paying people.
Yeah. So I should be able to get in free. You know what I mean? Like, that's the whole concept of taxes that people don't understand.
Which what justifies everybody getting on this side.
Yeah, of course. Everybody should get on this side. Like, even if you have a job, you should have a side business, because there's so many advantages to being like an entrepreneur or an independent contractor, or just hustling for yourself. Because at the end of the day, like, I feel like we depend on too many people to do so much for us that we could do ourselves. Like, think about everything that we have on right now. Somebody made this stuff. Why can't we learn how to do it?
Sale. Boom.
Yeah, like, why can't we learn how to?
We got as a product.
But look, as Americans, we are so lazy. Like, I have to just admit this. Like, this is why I always try to identify like an entrepreneurial gene, even though it's kind of bull. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, it's just like they pacify us with this consumer mentality, because it's like, look at everything we got on, and we can make this stuff, but none of us are making this stuff. And they make it so inconvenient for us to make it with certain things where I believe where it's like, it's not even profitable to even attempt the idea. So they put us out of position by not even allowing us that sector to be profitable for even us, for just to start. Because, like I said, you got to be motivated to move forward. So if you're not motivated to move forward, like, why would I make a watch? Why would I make a shirt? Why would I make pants? Because at the end of the day, if it took me $20 to make it and the profit is only $5, that's a bad business. You know what I mean?
Unless, I mean, but I mean, it just depends on how you look at it. Because some people got high profit margins, like you were saying, like we was talking about earlier. You know, some businesses are where they sell less, but the profit margin is higher. You know, that you got some people that make cheaper products, but the profit margin is lower. So that means, you know, to make that $5, I'm gonna need to sell 100,000 of them versus somebody could sell half as many at a higher profit margin.
Yeah. But at that point is are you going to love your business if you're not really making that much money in it? Like, you know what I mean? Because the thing is,
I don't really think,
because like I said, going back to the goal, we should work for money and then working for passion, right? Because like like I said, you can eventually get to a company where you start and you establish $1 million company, but it's not making that much net profit. You're employing a lot of people.
But that's like saying, okay, if I'm passionate about, like, say a person passionate about, let's say, a healer or something like that. Somebody selling like maybe some holistic stuff, like you know, like a Yaki. So
shout out to brother Yaki.
Yeah. So if he enjoys what he's doing, he's healing people, but he's only making $5 profit. If he can get everybody to spend to buy, say if he could sell 100,000 or 100 or let's say 1,000 products at $5, you know, if he made that a week and just $5,000 a week, you know what I'm saying? But he's doing what he loves. Can a person survive off $5,000 a week?
Of course.
Okay, so that would suggest that.
But what if he's not making that much money? Like, okay, I love what I'm doing. I love that I'm healing people, right? Mm-hmm. But I'm not making that much money, right? Are you going to love what you do?
I think you loving what you do is going to be based on,
because I see a lot of happier, wealthy people than I see a lot of, like, you get anger, frustration, you know what I mean? Like trouble at the bottom.
See, but you got to understand. See, so I would be able to highly go against what you're saying, because
give me no premise. Give me your premise, because I just feel like you want some smoke right now.
No, look. Okay, so you have been making money. Think about it. The way you made money was your passion.
Right.
So technically, you don't really have jurisdiction to really speak on that.
Here we go.
On that right there, because you have been making money off your passion the whole time.
But not always, because remember when I started the studio wasn't ever my passion.
True, but it was still in the industry.
Okay.
It was still in the industry, so it's still, the studio still was you doing the industry of your passion. Was still, you was gaining skills that you was gonna need for what?
But I hated it
for your right. You gonna hate some part of everything. Like I hate social media.
Okay.
But I need it. I need social media in order to get this out to people, because I can't talk to 100 people in my inbox at the same time. So the only way to be able to get it out to everybody is to be like, look, just come to the live. Like just come and see it, because I can't talk to everybody. I don't have the time to text everybody back. So I have built a successful business that I hate in an industry that I don't like. So that's why I like in me. So I'm like, okay, I'm after making all this money, I realized like, okay, I like the hustle. It was good sleeping in the truck. I got the experiences. It felt good. Like, ooh, it was liberating. Okay, cool. So now I'm like, I need to go back and be a motivational speaker. I need to go back and do what I feel like I wanted to do within music. I wanted to have notoriety and have influence, so that I can, you know, in our community, if 3 people know you, it's like you're a nobody. But people are only going to really take the game from somebody who has notoriety. So I'm like, all right, well, I got to go get notoriety so that my own people can listen. I know it's a stretch, but whatever it takes to get the message out there, because we need people that we can borrow money from. So,
of course.
So I want to train entrepreneurs just in case I go broke. I need people that can loan me 100,000. I got a couple friends that could do that now, but what if I had 20 friends that can loan me 100,000? What if I had, even not friends, what if I had 20 associates that I could loan $100,000 to, or they can loan me $100,000?
I have to be honest with people, right? And you made a great point. My goal in business is to become very powerful, very influential,
of course,
and make a lot of money and become stinking rich and help people in the process. And helping people, the people who I help are going to make me stinking rich.
Right, but you got to think about it. Okay, so money is going to be like the means to an end. Okay, so
but I'm
it's only so much though, bro.
But look, follow me.
All right. Okay, you talking all this money talk,
because I got to.
I know that money ain't. Man, come on, man. We know that money ain't rich for real.
But it is. Think about it, because every resource take it. Money. So at the end of the day,
it's your know-how. At the end of the day, okay, your network.
But come on, look. Let's clarify. I'm gonna clarify this, and if you don't agree with me, we want all the smoke, right? Money is not just defined as the fiat paper that we spend in, because if I had a network, I would more establish network worth millions and billions of dollars. I would much rather take the network than the actual fiat cash. Because then I'll be able to make a phone call and get stuff done, because I'm only going to spend the money on people, services, and products anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I said, like, money is a great starting point. It's the energy that it takes to get those things, those connections.
Right.
So when we say,
right, so it's a good starting point, but I don't want to convince everybody that money is the end all be all. Because we realize,
I'm not trying to.
All right, look, hold on.
Go ahead.
Let me ask you a question.
Go ahead.
How much money do you have?
Okay.
Not like saying how much money you got total. We don't know pocket watching, but
okay.
how much money do you got sitting in your investment savings account right now?
A lot of
okay,
money.
So the reason why that money is not in an investment vehicle is because of what? It's because you have ran out of ideas.
Yes,
potentially.
Partially. Or sometimes it could be hard to get out of cash. Honestly.
I'm just saying it from a standpoint, like, if anybody ever been in a position where you had the money but didn't have the idea of what to do with it.
Of course.
Because if we had the know-how, you wouldn't get that $10,000 tax check and blow it.
Of course.
So that's why I'm saying know-how is more important, because if you get the money without the know-how, what you gonna do with it?
You're gonna do nothing. You're gonna blow it.
Yeah, you're gonna blow it. So that's all the point I'm trying to drive home, so everybody can realize that. Even you taught me this. The skills is the most important thing.
Yeah, most definitely.
So we got my boy finna come on, my boy Ray from he's an entrepreneur. I've been knowing him for a while.
Right.
And we met at Amazon. We was both doing trucking, but he's now got 2 car lots popping off. I'm gonna bring him in because I want y'all to see, and I want to get his point of view on how he transitioned from his job to entrepreneurship and kind of the struggles that he's facing right now. All right, y'all, give me a second. Let me bring him in. My boy
what's going on, man?
What up?
I see you there.
All
right now.
Yeah. I'm in the new office, man. They finally finished remodeling everything, getting ready for the grand opening in a few weeks. So I was up here, man, enjoying the streaming so far, man. I got some good topics.
For sure. So I brought you on here to kind of, because today the series is 9 to 5 entrepreneur, and I know a lot of us, a whole lot of us, kind of, we was working at these jobs. Yeah. And we was trying to figure out how to transition. So tell us about how you transition from your job into entrepreneurship, and kind of like walk them through me meeting you at the truck, and then the story how that happened and how you got to being a big boss with the cars. And I want that white and blue Camaro.
Okay, I sold it yesterday. Yeah. So basically, I was a correctional officer for the state, and I was there about 2.5 years. I worked there twice. But I was a correctional officer working, putting in a lot of overtime, a lot of hours. I was still cutting hair at the barbershop on my off days, just hustling. I knew I wanted to, be an entrepreneur. I just didn't know how to get in the game and what business to go into. My dad had he was running his personal vehicle, doing advanced auto parts. Delivering it to different events, and I usually help him out every now and then on weekends and things like that. So the guy ended up calling him, telling him about box truck opportunities, and my dad was calling him, and trying to see when they have something open. But one day, he called, was like, "Hey, we got an opening for the box truck." So my dad, I was originally gonna work for my dad. My dad had already found trucks and everything, but when we got the daily amount, my dad, he wanted to help me get away from the prison. He was like, "Look, this amount per day here is not enough for him to make money and me make what I need to live." He said, "I'm gonna let you take this first route, and then the second route come, then I get in." So at that moment, I called out of work that morning. I took a title that I had to a car, paid off. I pawned the title, got 5,000. I took my taxes. I had 4,000 or 5,000. I was at 9. So then I turned around and I went to Atlanta to find a truck. I borrowed the other 5 from my parents. Got more. Went to Atlanta, bought a truck, started work the next night. I never went back to my job. I didn't get to put in the notice. I didn't know how it was gonna work out. I was already $14,000 in before I even knew if the job was gonna work out.
You knew you put your back to the wall and you just had to make it work.
I did, and then when I used my um my retirement from my job, as soon as the next week I paid my dad back, I used that money to get all my insurance, everything I needed, and to cover my fuel and everything until I start for the checks to start rolling in. It was a big gamble, but it was like he said, you got to be kind of crazy to do it because everybody looking at me, like everybody at the prison was like, you left, you don't know how, they were shocked. I mean, everybody was talking like, because I didn't put in a notice or nothing. I went from working probably 70 hours a week, and all of a sudden I'm gone. Like I didn't even. I started Amazon. Then I met Kobe. He got his truck, and then one day we just exchanged numbers and got to talking one night. I knew, he was about his business. We was doing the same thing. He was in his truck. He just started, and we just started networking. And I'll find out something, be like, "Hey, Kobe, you heard about this? Hey, this." He'll call me, "Hey, you heard about this?" And we just pretty much exchanged information all the way, and helped each other out because without Kobe and the knowledge that he had, I couldn't have made it where I made it because I needed things and resources that he already knew by being in Atlanta. So it just kind of like the first route I took, I drove for myself for the first year. I didn't hire anybody. I remember being sick, going to work. I was scared about losing my route because, like I said, my back was against the wall. I couldn't fail. I had a family.
So did you or did you not take a lot of work in trucking to survive? But knowing that it didn't really pay good, but you had to do it because
I had to,
because
right.
you had already gave up your good benefits and everything already.
Right.
So,
I had to.
Fast forward, Ray, and tell them how you segued from trucking to where you at now, and why you left trucking alone to do what you're doing now.
Okay. Basically, as I grew, I ended up getting, I had 3 FedEx routes and like 5 Amazon routes. FedEx, ended up cutting the contract and deciding to deliver for themselves. I already had, heard that it was coming, so I kind of started preparing myself. Kind of like Kobe said, even though I made money in trucking and I had 11 employees, I hated it. You know what I'm saying? I hated it.
We all do businesses that like we don't like, and then eventually get to something like we go through that experimental phase.
Yeah,
yeah. Go ahead, Ray.
So yeah, it was hard for me, but because of the fact that I just didn't have the passion for it. I learned how to do it and knew how to do it well, and I started, we learning, but it was just something that I just didn't feel at the end of the day that was my passion. So I just started. I linked up with a friend of mine, and he already had a business. We was like, hey, let's start. Start getting some cars and do the car lot. And I was like, cool. So I just kind of started dibbling and dabbling as I was doing the trucking as well, and then try to grow it from there.
Okay, so I got another question for you real quick. So how long have you been messing with the cars?
I got the dealer license 2019 of February.
So you about almost 2 years in.
Yes.
So where are you at with it now? Because like how fast it took off for you. I mean, I'm excited.
Yeah. Man, learning experience, buying cars, and then you end up taking losses. I remember taking $5,000 loss here, $5,000. But see, what helped me was I was trying to grind so hard in trucking so I can put money into here that I didn't need to pay my bills. So it's like I wanted to do it, so I refused to give up. It's kind of like with the business, just like trucking. I learned as I kept going. I learned, but I had to pay for that learning by just making mistakes.
Okay.
I think it's cool to know that, like, even in business, my premise is, as long as I can sleep on somebody's couch, if everything go to zero, I'm cool. Like I can always go, even almost at 40, like 30 something, like we can go back to the crib and sleep on my Duke's couch or something. And then just start
if it all
process.
fails,
if it all fails,
right,
you know what I mean?
right.
So through the process, would you say that trucking wasn't like a failure, but it just wasn't really, from the system that you was working out of, it just wasn't worth the time in comparison to what you could do with the car lot.
Right. Now, what I did learn is the car lot ended up being a bigger investment. So,
what do you mean by right? Break it down for us.
like when I started with trucking, I bought that first truck, and then you kind of like the way we was doing it and getting rental trucks, and you still can make a little bit here and keep making it. Your profitability was coming back faster.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, a phone call came through. So yeah, you kind of see the turnaround fast. I with the cars is a little bit different. Before you even can get a dealer license, you got to have a building, you got to have a sign, you got to have insurance, you got to have everything before they even give you a license. So we literally had a building that we was paying rent for, and we didn't have maybe but one car to sell. So it was like very investing. Yeah, it was like investing. Yeah, so it was just like had to keep at it. Going. I remember going to auctions, spending the night at a hotel, and coming back with no cars. Simply because the prices was way above what we could get them for and sell them. When you're not established, you kind of got to have real low prices for people to even, come your way because they don't trust you.
So why didn't you give up at that time?
Yeah, like why did the business not scare you away? Because you said it's a larger investment.
Yeah, right.
The trucks were already making money at a faster rate.
Right.
So, to a lot of people, they will call you crazy. Like, yo, like, you're gonna go into this business is less profitable. You got to have more of this. You going out here, you buying cars, and you're not that profitable, and people don't trust you. Like, how do you get over that?
Call Houston, tell him to stop calling me. He's back and forth. Yeah, so I pretty much it's just I believe in the putting in the work and giving things adequate enough time to grow. So I just knew it wasn't going to be like
was the top thing though. I mean, so how important was it to be patient?
Oh man, big. Like I said, I start we still like this, man. But I bought him out probably about 7 to 8 months ago. It was just the work that had to be. He got a real good sense of business, so it's like the amount of time and the work that really had to go in this. He didn't really have the time, but I didn't want to give up. You know what I'm saying? Even though I'm sitting here seeing it fail, but it's like I'm the type of person to believe if it's ever been done, I can do it.
Right.
That's just the faith that I put in myself. I'll be like, I know if somebody say, oh, this failed, I just feel like, let me try it. I want to put my effort into it, give it my all, and give it time to see what it's going to do. Because sometimes you can get out of something too early.
Yeah.
Oh man, you spent some gems on there, man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, man. We appreciate you, man, for coming on here, man. I'm gonna catch up with you very, very soon. I got to come down out of Alabama. You know what I'm saying? So I like make sure that the next part that I want that I see you posting online.
Yes.
So Ray, give them your information, where they can find you, where they can find your business. Just give them all of your contact information.
All right. Ray Moore on Facebook. The business is 5 Star, the number 5. Auto sales, Wetumpka, Alabama. If you Google it, it'll pop up the website, direction, everything. 5 Star Auto Sales on Facebook as well. Pretty much, I think that's it.
All right, man. Thanks for the time, man. Man, I appreciate your time. I see you in there making boss moves. Like, hey, how them folks stop calling me right now? Hey, man, knowing where we come from, man, I swear, man, that make me hey, cold sweats, dog. Cold sweats, man. I'll be home, man. Coming on.
I enjoyed it. Thank you.
All right, peace, brother.
All right. That was dope. You know, one thing that I kind of realized is like entrepreneurs, a lot of us have like similar stories.
Oh yeah, crazy.
Like we all nuts. So I think if that's the thing that we have to help people develop, like we would have to teach people how to be crazy.
I mean, people be thinking crazy, they just be scared of crazy though. You know?
Why do you think that is? It's like, why?
I mean, because it's like, I mean, I feel like the way for me to just being crazy, I simply think about this.
Okay.
I simply think like this, bro. I feel like if the position I'm in, that I feel like, okay, see at the post office, I said, okay, if I take a risk on this job, can I get back to this job? Yeah. Can I get back to something like this? So if I feel like I'm in a position that I could easily get back to, I feel like it's not really a risk. I'm just going, I'm jumping out there and trying something, but I know that my worst case scenario, that if trucking didn't work, I was just going to go be back at the post office. You know what I'm saying? Right. How hard was it to get in the post office the first time? Fill out an application, do an interview, back in. How hard would it be for me with my experience to get back into that position? So, I mean, so that's the thing I like for people to think about. Like, if you just got a job, I mean, I'm the type of person, I had like 40 different jobs. You know what I'm saying? So for me, I can get a job. So I don't know if that's the case for everybody, but I'm a hustler. So I feel like I can make anything work.
Right.
You know, so I feel like if you're not afraid, if you feel like Daryl said, you can't be afraid of sleeping back on the couch or losing everything, because like I said, you would never get anywhere if you are afraid of losing everything. Like I said, the bigger the risk, the bigger the reward.
I think our next podcast is going to be, you know, about taking chances. You know what I mean? Because it's like at the end of the day, like teaching people, and we could be very specific about when to take a chance. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, sometimes I would say that, just to be honest, sometimes certain people are just so out of position that entrepreneurialism don't make sense. And it should always make sense. You know what I mean? It should always make sense. But if you're not willing, if you're so far where you don't have any skills, and it's like, man, you know what I mean? But even in that point in time, we always heard entrepreneurial stories where somebody popped off at 50 or 60 or 70.
Yeah, true.
And
Colonel Sanders.
Yeah, Colonel Sanders, and made himself the biggest, you know, chicken company in the world. But, you know, it's like a lot of things that we have to, you know, just address and just help in this. And I'm just glad that we were able to do the podcast to give people the information in the business, because it's like it takes experience, or to be able to see somebody else's experiences to be able to get to the other side.
I actually want to show people behind the scenes, because like what it took us to set this setup up, like the amount of money we had to invest. Like this was a big risk that we invested in, and just trying to build it up. It could take us it could take us a couple of years to build this up before this would even become profitable.
But that's okay. We got the time. One thing about it is, like, the one thing that I say that why you should always work for money, and I know you're going to disagree with me.
I'm not saying in certain instances, of course, you got to, I'm not saying money, but if you put something else there with it, I feel like it'll eliminate it. You need something to fight with when you feel like giving up. Because I didn't feel like giving up so many times. So I'm only speaking from that feeling when you like, man, F this. I'm ready to just go back to work.
I would say this: money, the best thing about money is that it can help you buy your time back. You know what I mean?
Having money allow us to be able to do this.
Right. Because like if we didn't have money, we wouldn't be able to do this.
We wouldn't be able to, like people don't know that we was prepping for this hours ahead of time.
Yeah.
You know,
we got here hours in advance.
Trying to get the topics, trying to make sure that it sticks.
Yeah.
But we up on an hour and 4 minutes. I want to jump into the Q&A. I see a very good question that rolled in.
Okay.
You want to take this one?
What it say?
At the bottom. Brandon.
What if you got kids? Can you make those same risks? You're going to have to. And the only reason that I said you have to, because what's better? Kids cost. You know, I'm just going to be honest. Like, people think that you making money, that you're able to raise a kid. Like, there's a difference between raising kids and being able to maintain kids. Yeah. Because if you don't have enough money to be able to pay for the attention from your kids, you're always going to be pushing them in front of tablets, in front of TVs, things, what I would say, that are technologically babysitters. These are just babysitters for the most part, a lot of times, unless we can control the the narrative and the conversation and what goes on tablets.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? We got to have to be able to time. So you have to be able to take a risk. Would it be more advantageous to take 5 to 7 years to really build yourself into a boss, or 30 years working at a job where you only maintain your kids and you never give them a sense of getting to the other side? Because remember, the cycle will just repeat with them.
And you can't, the biggest thing too, you can't give that job to them.
Right.
So, you basically gonna have them starting at the same, at a point that you started at.
Right.
And nobody didn't
the
give
cycle
you
is going to continue. Like, you know,
the whole point, is to raise it. So I would like to speak on my take on that, Brandon, too. Because I had, at the time when I quit my job, I had 4 kids. So trust me, I know exactly what you like, what you thinking in your mind when you came up with that question, because that's the thing. I'm like, man, I got these kids. What if I have to, like, I got 4 kids and a wife. Like, picture me, the thought of like, what if I fail and me having to move in with somebody else with 4 kids?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just like, nah. So, I mean, I would say just make sure you got, me at the time, I had very good credit, so I knew that if I ran out of cash, I figured out, okay, if I get down to $2,000, then I'm gonna have to figure out something, because, so I just kind of gave myself a little threshold, and I never, by the time I got down to that point, I was too knee deep in what I was doing. I was too close to figuring it out to give up at that point.
Right. Well, and that's deep too, because like, our kids are always watching our moves.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I only started a business because I seen my dad run one. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
If I'd have never seen it, I probably wouldn't be that, unless I was around, had other mentors that were entrepreneurs.
Right, but me seeing your business could potentially be the reason why it was easy for me, because I didn't see it directly.
Yeah.
But I see it indirectly as when I'm coming over to visit.
Mm-hmm.
Frank's giving us game. You know what I'm saying? I mean, me, I'm absorbing everything, all the OGs,
Yeah.
I'm absorbing all of that. So,
right.
So for me, seeing that, was a good thing. And then I was in a mentoring program that my mom put me in, that allowed me to travel. So I was able to see different things and come up with new ideas. So that's equally important, as you coming up, to be able to exposing your kids, Brandon, to these different types of things, so they can have a bigger vision, a larger vision. But it's you're gonna have to take the risk, because if you take the risk, then your kids are gonna be comfortable taking risks too, because they don't do what we tell them, they do what we show them.
I mean, like, I think for the larger part that we have to realize that a job is somebody else's vision. Like, our business is our vision. Like, we did it. Like, it's an idea that we just had one day and we made it happen. We manifested it out of thin air.
Mm-hmm. So and I think you respect yourself a lot more when you're in control of the money. It's empowering.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes you feel, I wouldn't say more of a man, because I don't feel like a person with a job is less of a man. Right. But when you control the narrative, like say you got a job and you working as hard as you could work, but the job tops out at $20 an hour.
Yeah.
So like, I just can't get with anything that I can see a ceiling. Like, picture you developing yourself, you getting better for these people, but they saying like, okay, once you get to 5 years, even though you're gonna be the most experienced, you're gonna be at the top of your experience, the top of your game, they're gonna top you out at that point.
Yeah. And I want to make clear the narrative of this podcast. Like, we're not dissing anybody who ever wanted to have a job. Like, we always need,
no, I had
this
40
country,
of them, so
yeah, this country was built by people who just worked, put their hands in the mud and built this country. What we're for is we want people to progress past that eventually. Mm-hmm. We don't even care if it's small. Like, what the ramifications will have if you own 10% of a business and you still have a job.
Yeah.
That could be life-changing to your family. So
I'm not even saying you got to really quit your job for real.
Factual.
I mean, I'm saying just if make some investments. Like, holla at Daryl. He know about the crypto.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, make some investments so at least you got something to where if your job fire you, you won't fall off.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really the key. So it's 9 to 5 to entrepreneur to transition, or you could do them both.
Yeah. Because we want you to have skills. Because, one thing about times and uncertainty, it's just like, we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know if these jobs are ever going to come back. We don't know if there's ever going to be opportunity for us again. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the stimulus wave is cool. They're going to give us all this free money. What happens when the honeymoon is over and you got to live, and you got to live with the situation of the environment, of the atmosphere that, like, really ain't no jobs coming back. Like, what are we going to do then? And then, we got all these kind of things coming down the pipeline, like artificial intelligence. And there is already basically here. But what happens when you have healthcare robots coming in, or you got somebody to flip the burgers for you? That only thing you have to do is just maintain it for $2 an hour. You know what I mean? Like, what happens when those things come around and replaces the low income jobs or the low to moderate income jobs? Well, we don't need those. We don't need specialists. You know what I mean?
Interesting.
When artificial intelligence begins to make beats for us and write songs for us.
Because artificial intelligence is already going to be taking over warehouse jobs. You see the grocery stores. I mean, you see they got self-checkout. We actually falling right into it, which is the sad thing about it is like we checking ourselves out at the store. Yeah. And we comfortable with doing that.
And we comfortable.
So we ain't, I would say we should go stand in line and make sure these people keep their jobs for a minute, because the more comfortable we get, the more comfortable we get, it's going to be less registers. Yeah. And more self-check. I went to a gas station with self-checkout. A gas station with 2 self-checkout things. I said, man, they finna get rid of them attendants, man.
So, what are we going to do? Like, we don't have no skills. Like, if people have no skills.
So what is the thing? So like I said, you making money at that job, you're gonna have to get some know-how.
We have to do things that gets rid of the sentiment of people not having the initiative to have the drive. Because like, look, I only believe that it's an entrepreneurial gene is because they pacify us with all of this free money and opportunity. Not opportunity, but free money. Like this welfare mentality. Like if they got rid of that, and it's maybe
because of everybody, because the fear is like, and this is what I want people to know. The fear is, we know what the true fear is. The true fear is if everybody start thinking for themselves and really became entrepreneurs, it would be scary. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It would be scary because then who gonna work for you? Who gonna work for the owners?
I think that people would still be working with each other.
Exactly. I'm just saying they think it's like, okay, who's gonna go work? Who's gonna work for the government if everybody? You know what I'm saying? They trying to protect their own backs. Yeah. They don't want everybody to become an entrepreneur, because then everybody gonna be getting the tax cuts that we getting. You know, think about it. There's people that make $100,000 a year. They paying more taxes than what we paying on $1 million. You know what I'm saying? Straight up. So
of course.
So they don't want everybody to be doing it, because then who gonna pay taxes?
Of course, nobody.
Because the business is not paying taxes. I want to jump into this question. I see Mike Sutton on my live. I'll make sure you check your the live to make sure we hitting all these questions, because I really want to.
Okay, so I'm just trying to figure out how to pull it up on here, so I might just have to look on.
Just pull up your
I got my Facebook up, but I don't see the questions.
Live. Well,
okay,
Mike,
cool. Yeah, I see it.
All right, so Mike said, "Can you explain?" And y'all, this is like we on like 7 different spots right now, like 7 different pages and stuff. So don't, we just our first time doing it like this. We trying to figure it out. So Mike Sutton says, "Can you explain what does it take, like an amount of money to start looking in investment or owning your own business? I'm interested in investing or making my money work for itself." You want to take that one?
Okay, so he's just talking about just making gains of business, like versus having a business, or
both. Like basically, like how much money to be an investor or own a business.
Okay, the thing is, we have to look at it like this. What are you doing business for? A lot of people do business to make money, right? But that ain't the necessary, because we've done enough businesses where we like genuinely want to help people. Yeah. So it's like, do you want to help people to make money, help people, and in exchange make money for helping people? Or do you just want to make gains? Because if you strictly want to make gains, you don't need a business. You could just become an investor. Because a lot of times, a lot of business owners want to transition into being investors. Like that's where we headed.
Exactly. I mean,
because they're free up. Because investors got the most time. Like, you know what I mean? Like
investors got the most freedom.
They got the most freedom.
We're just trying to get y'all over, like to segue into business ownership, and then you will start to see the light. It's kind of like baby steps.
I mean, because look, to be honest, my first business was a job. Like you know what I mean? Like I created a job for myself.
Yeah, pretty much.
You know what I mean? Like that's where it started, and to be honest, like it was a pretty terrible job. Like, you know what I mean? Like I was doing what I love to do, but after doing it so much, you want to not be closed in and not be personified as that. Like, you know what I mean? Like I can do more than this. You know what I mean? You got ideas, and your ideas can't stretch that far because people know you for that. But like, if you have bread and you want to invest money, like a business might not necessarily be the first thing that unless you have a specific skill right off the bat that can make bread. Like I knew that I could sing and write. but I knew that I had a business background to make it make sense.
Yes, sir.
So there would be low overhead. But you know what I mean? Even
so that's a good point though.
Yeah.
For Mike, like low overhead. So Mike, like the hit on that question that you got, like it's not really a set amount of money I would say that it would take to start a business or start investing. I would say at least put 10% of your earnings into investing if you want to get like a practical way of doing it.
Okay, so investing in what? 10%? Map it out for us. What are we putting 10%?
Okay, so let's say I mean, we talking to, I mean, I know some people make 100,000 a year, 50,000. So let's do 100,000 for easier math. So if you took 10% of 100,000 of your earnings, and that would be 10,000 a year. Yeah. So you have to, you know, find what your money could buy. You know, what your money can flip to. Like, say for instance, and from a business standpoint, you got a lot of businesses, like you said, that could, like you had low overhead. You could start a cleaning company. Like I said,
very, very low.
Always go to cleaning companies because cleaning companies, you can start it for $250. There is also another video I'm about to make about starting a moving company. Like there are labor only moving companies where you don't have to have really any money. All you need is a general liability policy, which is about $650. And there's U-Haul has a website where you can go to and you can start when somebody rents a truck.
Okay.
You can go help them. You and one of your partners can go help them, and you can charge anywhere from whatever your price is. It could be $50 an hour that you charge them. It could be $100 an hour that you charge them.
So look, is that 10% contingent on the fact of what position they're in life? Because I think that if you were younger and you had less responsibilities, wouldn't you be able to invest a lot more?
But it's not really. But the question is just more so of how is there a certain amount? Okay. Of course, if I had 100,000, I would be looking at $100,000 ideas. I'm just saying from me, a person that's middle class, making 100,000, investing modestly, conservatively with the 10%. Me, of course, I'm investing 70%. You know what I'm saying? So like but I'm a super risk taker. Most people risk. I feel like I wouldn't even suggest nobody to do the stuff that I like the way that we went, because we went like the harder way. That could give somebody a heart attack.
Of course. We got a question on the line from Francisco. Does one's culture or identity dictate what opportunities are successful? Having drive but no direction because of what is seen or viewed by this culture musically we are in.
That's an interesting one.
Well, okay, so we have to, there's a lot of red tape with this question, because especially right now, like people are so sensitive politically, and there's certain things that you can say and can't say. Hint, hint, wink, wink. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of things that we have
under the microscope, basically.
Yeah. So there's a lot of things that we have to be careful of, even the type of businesses that we do want to run, or having that, like even in music. Like I'm so surprised that they decide to censor a lot of what we say, but not a lot of things that we do musically. You know what I mean? Because if they're going to call certain things like inciting violence, or certain things of racist or sexist, like, bro, that's been in our music forever. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
as long as it got a beat to it.
Yeah.
They don't want you saying that on Facebook,
right?
And YouTube.
Y'all slow
dry talk.
Right? Y'all been allowing that. You know what I mean? So it's like, come on. You know what I mean? So I think that like this. When you fresh and you have a business, you have to play to your advantages.
So as far as him culture, so should he stick to the culture, because that would be an advantage if you say a Hispanic, you know, to you know, should you just do what the society deems, you know, like should you sell tacos, make a taco stand, you know, or should you step outside the box?
If that would make people trust you more, like, look, if you pretty or you handsome, play to your advantages.
Whatever they are.
And I think that's what we have to do is like, because sometimes even like with women, a lot of women, they complain about the fact that like, oh, I'm pretty, but I have these disadvantages because I'm a woman. But look, you got a finite amount of pretty. Use it to your advantage.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You know,
so basically you saying just don't worry about what disadvantages you got. You just got to play to your advantages, period.
Yeah. I mean,
which is what we was talking about as far as as far as being competent. Like if you competent and got experience in that area, that would be the starting point. No matter what culture or whatever. I mean, we all started with like the trucking was a thing that for me that I got into it because I had a partner named Rello. He was doing it. I seen it. You know, I felt like I'm like, well, I think I could do this. You know, we tried to do it. It didn't work. I did it on my own because I understood the ideal of it, but he introduced the ideal to me. So I kind of seen it. I felt like I was competent enough to do it. And that's what made me jump. I only jumped because I felt like I had the I would say with the ammunition.
Tenacity.
I had the ammunition to fight with it. It's kind of like going to war. Like, okay, business is war.
It's definitely war.
So if I feel like, okay, I know how to drive this truck. I have to know how to do that. You know, I know how to stay up for long hours. You know what I'm saying? And I got a little money. Okay, cool. Check off 1, 2, 3, boom. So I could do, if I could do all those those three things, and I'm competent, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want me to go for it.
Oh yeah, you know what? And a lot of times, well, you can get to it if you have another question. It's just so many things that I'm thinking about right now. So if we have another dope question, just pull it down the pipeline.
So what's up, y'all? Anybody else got any more questions coming in? I'm trying to flip through Facebook, YouTube, and all the different spots.
You know, also I want to let people know that businesses are for lazy people too. Like businesses are perfect for lazy people because it's like the inventor of the remote was genius. Like he was a person sitting on the couch and was tired of getting up and switching channel and came up with an idea.
So business is what? So basically, if to solve this, to end it, to wrap this conversation up, we're going to say that business is solving problems.
Of course.
So find a problem to solve it. You know, find a problem to solve, you know, and you will be in business for as long as you could be a problem solver. So good problem solvers make good business people. We're running into an hour and a half, so we're gonna have to
cut it a little short.
Cut it short.
So we got businesses. So look, yo, this has been Life is Business, the podcast with Kobe and Darrow. We're trying to help you guys transition to that other side, right? You guys have jobs. Some of you guys don't have jobs. We're in a very particular economy where things are slow. We want to help y'all get skills. So if we can give them a gem for me and Kobe, right? I would say just work, even if it don't make sense right now. Sometimes
the stuff that don't make sense is the right decision.
Right. You just gotta
almost all the time.
You know, a lot of times people complain about going 1,000 miles in the wrong direction. Well, you moving. You know what I mean? And a lot of times
because you can't figure out what's wrong until you start moving.
Right. So you know what I mean? Until you figure out you've been going in the wrong direction 1,000 miles, then you'll know how to autocorrect yourself. So I just want you guys to keep working. Cove, you got a gem for them.
Well, I mean, I think we summed it all up, you know.
Yeah.
My thing, of course, focus. And like I said, stick to your advantages and what you already know how to do.
Right.
Do stuff that you feel like you're competent in already. Like start there.
Right.
That would be my thing. Don't go out looking for something new. Crypto, if you don't know, and all this stuff. You can go try something, but just think about all stuff in your mind that you already know how to do. You might already know how to sew. You might already know how to, you know, paint clothes, or, you know, I mean, not paint clothes, paint shoes. I see a lot of different businesses that people are just like making custom shoes. I mean, you can make money off doing anything. So start with anything, but mostly with something that you're competent in.
Life is a lot of things, but life is business. This is the podcast with Kobe and Darrow. Till next time.
All right, y'all. Peace.